There's a special kind of fury that builds when someone disrespects your father. It's not a hot, explosive anger. It's a cold, patient fire. And I had all the time in the world to let it burn. My dad, Arthur, has lived on his quiet little cul-de-sac for 40 years. He's retired now, a man who spent his life as a civil engineer, a man who finds comfort in order and predictability. His peace was shattered the day the rental house across the street got new tenants. A family with 3 grown kids and just as many beat-up cars. The problem wasn't the cars, it was the son, a kid I mentally nicknamed Chase. He drove a loud, rusty sedan that sounded like a blender full of rocks. And he had a particular habit that grated on my father's soul. The public parking space directly in front of my dad's house is big enough for 2, maybe even 3 small cars if you squeeze. But Chase, he would always, without fail, park his monstrosity directly in the dead center, making the entire spot useless for anyone else. My father, being a man of quiet diplomacy, first tried talking to the kid's dad. The man just shrugged and said kids will be kids, nothing changed. The inciting moment, the point of no return, came on a Tuesday. I was visiting, helping my dad with his garden when Chase came stomping out of his house. My dad, bless his heart, decided to try speaking to the source of the problem directly. He walked over, smiled gently and said, "Son, I'd really appreciate it if you could pull forward a bit when you park. My son visits often and it would help him have a place for his car." Chase just looked at my dad, a man who had built bridges that would outlast them both, and let out this short, ugly laugh. "Find somewhere else to park, old man," he sneered, before getting in his car and peeling away, leaving a trail of black smoke and my father standing there, his face pale and his shoulders slumped. That was it. The cold fire in my chest ignited. From that day on, I became a student of Chase. Working from my laptop at my dad's kitchen table, I tracked his comings and goings. He worked odd shifts, probably at a warehouse or a late-night bar. He'd leave around 4 in the afternoon and come back well after midnight. I also did some other homework. I pulled up the town ordinances online, the ones that governed our specific neighborhood. And there it was, a beautiful little rule I had forgotten about. No vehicle could be parked in the same spot on a public street for more than 72 consecutive hours. It was a rule designed to stop people from abandoning cars, rarely enforced unless someone complained. And I was more than ready to complain. The plan formed in my mind, clean and precise, like one of my dad's old blueprints. I just needed the right moment. The perfect moment came on the Wednesday before a long holiday weekend. I watched from the window as Chase rolled home at 2 in the morning, parking his junker in its usual obnoxious spot. I set my alarm for 3 o'clock. When it went off, I slipped out of the house, got into my own small hatchback, and executed my plan. I parked my car directly behind his, leaving only an inch or 2 between our bumpers. Then I took my wife's car and parked it an inch in front of his bumper. His car was now perfectly, legally boxed in. He couldn't go forward, he couldn't go backward, he was trapped. My heart was hammering as I crept back into the house, but it was a thrill, not fear. I barely slept, waiting for the sun to come up. The climax arrived right on schedule, around 3:30 that Thursday afternoon. I was drinking coffee when I heard shouting from across the street. Chase was standing there, yanking on his car door, his face turning a blotchy red. His father and mother came out, pointing at my cars, then at my dad's house. I waited for the knock. When it came, I answered it calmly. The boy's father stood there, practically vibrating with rage. "You need to move your cars right now, my son has to get to work." I took a slow sip of my coffee. "I'm sorry," I said, my voice level, "but I'm not going to be moving my cars for a few days. We're enjoying the holiday weekend, you see, and according to town rules, they're parked perfectly legally." His face went from red to purple. He started sputtering about lawyers and having me towed. I just smiled. "Go right ahead," I said, "but while you're at it, you might want to check the time. Your son's car has been in that exact spot since early Wednesday morning. By my calculation, the 72-hour limit expires in, about 9 hours. I've already put in a call to the parking authority to report an abandoned vehicle. They said they'd send a truck out tomorrow morning to clear the spot." The look on his face was a masterpiece of defeated fury. He turned and stomped back to his son, who kicked his own tire in frustration. The next morning, my dad and I sat by the window with our coffee and watched. A massive tow truck rumbled down the quiet street. But the most beautiful part, the twist that made this revenge so incredibly sweet, was the man who hopped out of the driver's seat. It was a man named Sal, a huge guy with a graying ponytail who had worked on my dad's concrete crew for 20 years. Sal saw me in the window, and a huge grin spread across his face. He gave me a slow, deliberate wink before he started hooking up Chase's car. We watched them haul it away, a monument to arrogance being dragged off to an impound lot. The spot in front of our house stayed empty for a full week. When Chase finally got his car back, he started parking it down the street, right in front of his own house, where there had always been plenty of room. He never made eye contact with me or my father again, and a quiet, orderly peace returned to the cul-de-sac. My father never mentioned it, but sometimes I'd see him looking out the window at that empty curb, and a small, satisfied smile would touch his lips.